like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel. Nice to meet you, Cam.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having an interview with us.
No problem. It's an honor. So, you guys are out on tour. You're supporting a new EP that just came out called The Square?
Yeah. We just put that out. Came out November 8th via Rainy Phoenix Music. So yeah, it's just an EP.
Right. 5 songs?
Yep. 4 original, 1 cover.
Right. Kyrie?
Yep.
Mr.
Yep. Fan-picked.
Fan-picked?
Yeah. No, with the crowdfunding that we do, we usually we have a perk that someone usually gets, and it's pick the cover, and they submit a list of like 10 songs for us to go over with them with the band.
Cool.
And that was one of the ones we ended up with.
Awesome, because that was like half my list of things to ask. I understand that you guys kind of got everything rolling with crowdfunding, kind of the history of the whole band, isn't it?
Yeah. We had let me see, we were doing the typical thing, like we would record, and then every time a band records, they want to get a better recording and so on and so forth. So we would shell out all the money to record, and then we were getting used to just you put out all the work and you spend the money like getting the studio and stuff, and it's not cheap, and then you just kind of hand it to a label, and then it goes out, and then it's just like the return's really not there. And so it's like, how do you the band can't survive if you start at an absolute negative of whatever the recording cost is. So that it was a big goal of ours to figure out how to essentially start at $0, and then you have the product, which is traditionally back in the day, the record label would write you a $10, $15, $20, $30, $40,000 check to go record. You know what I mean? So
but then you owe them the money.
Yeah, or not, depending on what your deal is.
A lot of times.
Most of the time. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like
so you start out in debt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the way they get you, so they don't have to pay the royalty out. So it's essentially the label's a bank. I mean, honestly, like most labels are just really a bank when they do that, and the interest rate is much worse than just going to the bank and getting it yourself. So essentially that's the model. And then we a couple friends of ours had done crowdfunding, and then so we tried it on the Decennium album. We did the In the Walls EP. So I had In the Walls. What else was on that, Kevin? It was In the Walls. There was another original song on there.
Oh, the EP.
On the EP, yeah.
Undying.
Oh yeah. It was In the Walls and Undying that we did, and then we did a re-recording of 2 songs from the first album. And then those were gonna die on the EP kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it gave the EP a meaning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but then what happened is after we had crowdfunded that successfully, it was a template for Decennium, and then we went and crowdfunded that, and it always does better than what our expectation is. And so we were blown away by, at that time we were much smaller. I mean, we were still a small band, but we were babies, you know what I mean, at that time. In the grand scheme of things. And then that worked really well. And then we ended up turning it over. We licensed the rest of it to Napalm at the time. But at that point in time, it's something we wanted to do, and that's kind of where our break with the label happened again. You know what I mean? It's like they re-released our old albums. We were never freshly signed. So it was just it was more of a licensing deal because we had no copies left of any of the old albums.
Right.
So they reprinted them for us essentially.
For their cut.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, we got, it was a very short-lived deal with them. They're still selling them. They have a license for, 5 or 7 more years to sell those copies. But we returned to it. Actually, we produced a demo that we were thinking they were going to pick up, and then they told us that they wouldn't even be able to raise enough money to cover the promotion of it, and that was the Empty Eyes EP that we did in 2019, and that was essentially the demos that we delivered to Napalm. And then lo and behold, we obviously did it ourselves, and we're full of shit. I don't care. But like, so like, they just, I don't know why it went that way, but it's just, we got kind of tossed to the wall, and it's just stuck in that unfortunate, label just kind of tosses you to the side. Happened to Striker, happened to a bunch of bands that have been on there. But, we moved forward, and then we went back to crowdfunding because that's what we know. And every single time we've used it, it's only gotten better and only gotten better and only gotten better. The platform, Kickstarter's platform, is really easy to use, and it allows you to really like get in touch with the people that buy your product. You know what I mean? We can obviously sell it online by ourselves, but like it's so the website makes it so easy to like, it shows up in their inbox. You know what I mean? And it's just like, especially with like the public goal.
Yeah.
And like people can see how, I was like, oh, everybody's like, oh, they're almost there. They're almost there. Yay. And then you hit the goal, and it's like
sometimes people go, let's get them over the top.
Yeah. It's the public seeing the money get raised and seeing the goals get hit is, I think, the key behind the platform. And it's, we're doing this for fans. You know what I mean? It's,
right.
I'm not. If a label's in there, they're supposed to be working for us. Really, you know what I mean? It's for the fans.
Yeah.
So like we're a very big. I mean, we've done 6 successful crowdfunds at this point, and I have no, like, we're not going backwards essentially. So
right.
I mean, even with our current deal, like we were able to work crowdfunding in with RPM. So it's a very, band takes a lot of risk.
That's your label now, right?
Yeah, and it's much less risk for the label. So all they have to do is focus on is promoting it. You know what I mean? It's
you
just
give
like,
them a finished product.
Yeah, and it's just like, what other band's gonna give you, 10 music videos, like a full record, all the bells and whistles for it, and then be like, I don't want an advance.
So you guys are crowdfunding your video productions too?
Oh, everything. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you go back on our stuff, like it covers everything. It touches the record minus the touring.
So say you're going to do 4 videos for an album or whatever,
yeah,
or 5 videos. What kind of a goal do you guys set for that kind of money? I'm just curious.
Well, we have. It depends. It's just like, we're still doing a little bit more of the like budget-friendly videos, and like I own a lot of the good gear. I personally invested in like really nice camera equipment.
Yeah.
I have a buddy that comes that's a full-time content creator essentially that helps us, so I can be on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
But like I edit all of them. I color them. I do all the directing, the everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm telling him what to shoot. And setting up the locations and stuff like that. The band like comes up with the ideas and stuff. But luckily, because of that, like I can do the videos for probably like a third of what we would pay like a team to do. So it's
expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. I remember we were getting like $3,000 or $4,000 a video. We were spending like that for like a quick like performance video in like a studio. You know what I mean, with a small team, and that's still relatively cheap. You know what I mean. But now like we're cranking them out for like, have a budget of like $1,500, but it's because I'm not really paying myself. You know what I mean? It's
right.
a labor of love with that portion.
Right,
but like
self-promoting.
Yeah, but I don't mind. I would be doing it anyways. You know what I mean? So It's just like I don't even consider it work. It pays off in the long run for the band. You know what I mean? And as long as the band is growing, that's my main goal. That's the payoff.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a great reason for all bands to do some crowdfunding.
Yeah, no, I think crowdfunding is crowdfunding is the future for any bands that can handle. Essentially, you're going to get to the point where you have so much physical product that you have to ship that you're going to have to hire people to like lick stamps. You know what I mean? Like organize the shirts and then house the product, which is essentially kind of a problem that we have now. So like for when we did just the Square, when we had, actually Zenith was worse. So like when we did Zenith, like we had when all the product comes to the house, like it takes over my house. So It's just like I got 500 vinyls in my living room, like 14 boxes of shirts. You know what I mean? And our guest room is already full of like leftover tour merch and other things that we have for the store.
Yeah.
And just leftover stuff. So we're already to the point where like we need like a small shed.
You're still making CDs, right?
Yeah. Well, so like that's the thing is in the future I think we'll have some creative partnership with RPM for the next one. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if they'll make the CDs or we'll make them, or if I'll produce the vinyl and then, or they will. Like for instance, they we were the wholesaler this time. So it's a very different thing. Like they bought, copies at wholesale price for me versus
you already crowdfunded
because
those.
we have them and
You have them, they're pressed, they're
they don't
printed,
have to
right?
spend
Anything, just PR.
Yeah, it's just like you can make a markup on it, and like you don't have to front it like and buy the whole run. Like you could buy like 50 or 100 at a time, from us, and it worked out really good so far. So I think that's the future for growing. I mean, Winter Sun's done it. Winter Sun's one of the bigger bands that is crowdfunded that's still on a label. You know what I mean? And they do it less with physical product. I think their model has a lot less physical product than we do. I mean, if it's too easy. And honestly, like I think everybody at RPM is really happy with the way that this is working, and I'm looking forward to kind of making a bigger version of that. I don't want to use the word revolutionary yet, but like it could pave a way for a lot of bands to have the best of both worlds, where like if they're comfortable taking the risk of dealing with it themselves and then having a label also in conjunction pushing the record, it's a win-win for everybody, especially in this climate, in today's music industry.
Well, there's labels like Frontiers and other labels that sign bands all the time that just have a finished album. That they, whether they're pressing or not, I don't know that end of it, but
but I mean, the
bands I talk to, lots of them, they've already done all their recordings and they have everything done. And
but how they pay for it?
They're just handing. Well, a lot of them are recording in their own studios these days.
Yeah, but I mean, it still gets mastered and mixed somewhere.
Sure.
You got to pay for it. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
unless again, there's one of the guys has a studio and he's.
Yeah, most of those are getting the ones that I can think of though that are doing that. Like they're still sending them off to a mix like
house.
like a mixing house and then a mastering house, because like the gear that you need to like mix something that like really should sound the way it does, like you still have to go to a studio for it. I mean, there's a handful of people that can do it in house, obviously, but like even those people are still sending it out to eat for like mastering. You know what I mean? Like they're spending the money because then they also want.
They're not opening up a mastering program on their computer.
Yeah. Like there's
ramming it through.
Yeah. I mean, the gear matters. Like even if you like. A regular person wouldn't notice. Like anyone with a tuned ear, like is gonna be able to tell. Like this was finished somewhere with real talent, real gear. You know what I mean? Or not necessarily real talent, but you know what I mean. People that have been doing it all their lives, and that's all they've been doing. Yeah. And it's always good to like, we used to do stuff in house, but it was so subpar compared to like handing that portion of the job off to someone that's been doing it all their lives. I mean, that's why we did everything at Morristown.
But if you crowdfund the mastering costs.
Yeah, that's what we do. It's just like I have the spreadsheets from everything, and I know what it's going to cost. And every album we've bumped up the budget. We've been lucky enough to be able to bump up the recording budget a little bit and spend money on things that really make a difference in either the songwriting or the sonic, sound of it.
So on to some music questions real quick. So are you the primary songwriter?
No, we all do.
You guys all right?
Generally, it comes to Kevin and I make like the riffs essentially.
And Kevin's the bass player.
The other guitarist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's two guitarists. We don't have a bassist. We're Powerwolf style. So like Kevin and I will have.
Somebody's got a heavier guitar sound then, or?
No, not really. It's just like we both run the same pickups, different guitar, but like we run generally the same amp on the like rhythm guitar, so like you can't really tell what it is because it's a rhythm guitar. So we want it to be super consistent with the rhythm guitar tone. The lead tones will vary a little bit, so you can tell who it was. But Kevin and I will start with like guitar riffs, and then traditionally it would move over. We would like jam them with like Keith, and then he'll put his flair on it, and maybe like adjust a couple things here and there. And then once we have a very skeleton style song, Sabrina's got a bunch of stories and like lyrics that she's put to, so she'll hum through them and stuff like that. And then we'll take those demos and the selection of lyrics, and then we'll essentially stick Sabrina and Jim Morris, our producer guy, into like a room for like a week, and then they sketch out Sabrina's vocals, and then they kind of make, there hasn't been a ton of musical adjustments, which is one thing that we're gonna have the time and budget to do next time, is to kind of the way that the vocals get inspected and like co-written with Jim is, it's going to be a more produced sound when we do that with the
Right.
musical portion of it this time.
So things maybe get moved around. and
Yeah, so like we're
rearranged a
gonna
little more
yeah,
than just handing her the
yeah,
done
yeah.
tracks to
I mean,
sing
we still go through like variations and adjustments with the music, but this will be the first time that we have like a that microscopic inspection of the demos before or after the vocals are done, and that's like a week of time that we have not either afforded or spent yet. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. You know, that's the one thing that we haven't done is have that. You know, oh maybe like let's try this. You know, you put the chorus here, or like maybe just completely change the feel of the chorus. You know what I mean, or something. You know what I mean? We don't know. It's just that's going to be a producer hand.
Or
that,
is
you
this
know,
the verse? Or is this the
yeah,
chorus?
or you know, like it's like you
maybe
know,
the verse is the
Kevin and I have
chorus, or
always been like, oh,
that
like
kind
it'd be
of
really cool to like have like Jim just sit down and do lead guitar in front of him. You know what I mean? Just rather than just me and him just sitting there like at each other's throats, like well not at each other's throats, but like you know we'll just play and play and play and play. But then to have that like there's the time to have someone with another set of ears that we trust to like that's really cool. What about if you also tried this? You
Yeah,
know
what
what I
if?
mean?
What
Yeah,
if?
yeah, what if? And it's like, you know, especially in the recording process, it's really easy to, what they say, get lost in the trees. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You've been staring at something for so long, you're kind of missing something that might be a little bit obvious over here. So that's, you know, I'd like to think we do a pretty good job not missing something completely obvious, but like finding the little diamond in the rough that we might have not dug up. You know what I mean? A lot of bands have that. You know what I mean? At their disposal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've heard of bands that have had their 15 songs and are trying to narrow them down for the album.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
they're like, no, we don't want these on there. And the producer walks in and he goes, no, that's the hit.
That's the hit.
Not
yeah, exactly.
the one you guys all say doesn't belong on the record
yeah.
because they're just so close to it.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's helps to have that secondary opinion
extra
for sure,
person,
especially
yeah.
someone we trust like that. So
Awesome. So, how's the tour going?
great. I mean, it's just like we're still a relatively up and coming, growing band. So it's like headlining is not something we want to do, but like it's better than staying at home. We didn't have any support tour like to support like a much larger band.
Yeah.
We had a couple, but they fell through, and then it's like we've been wanting to go do a run with Striker, and for a long time, and then the two of us were actually supposed to be support for another band, and then that fell through, and so we were just like, screw it, like
Let's just
we're
go.
already got the availability, and then like checked out Lutharo, they were a great band, so they wanted to come along, so we've been really happy. It's our first time on the West Coast by ourselves, so I mean, it's been pretty good. I mean, there's, you know, a couple short ones and then a couple big ones. You know, we're about to hit some of the bigger ones. Southern California was really good. Arizona was really good. San Diego was pretty good last night. Tomorrow's going to be really nuts in Seattle. And then especially we go to the Canadian Sturf.
Yeah.
Those are going to be really good shows. So we're satisfied with it. It's not something we want to try to do until we're putting hundreds of people in the rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also necessary when there's not anything else. You don't want to be scared. That's what I was actually trying to tell. I don't remember who I was telling that to. It's just like you don't want to, as a growing band, you don't want to be scared to go out on your own and hold yourself up. You know what I mean? Even if there's 20 people there, like they're there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't not play for those people. You know what I mean? And I mean, we're used to supporting all the time. So like
Well,
we're playing.
those 20 people are going to tell their friends.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's just like I would rather go out and play hit and miss shows with a bunch of good ones sprinkled in than stay at home. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
for
you know
sure.
what, we're gonna still make some fans. You know, we're all gonna survive. Everything's gonna be fine when we get home. And also, I mean, we did a lot of supporting, especially on the West Coast. So like, it's a good test to see who remembers and who comes out. You know what I mean? So it's been nice to like be so far away from home, and then you see literally the tour shirts from all the different tours show back up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, like, you know, you saw us from here, you saw us from there, you know, and it's cool to see the return. You know what I mean?
There was somebody in line I was talking to that already saw you live.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it must
that's
have
like,
been. Who were you guys supporting recently?
We here in Portland, we've done gigs with Unleash the Archers. We were here with Beast in Black.
Good band.
And then we were here with Evergrey before, and then we were also here with
great band, yeah.
Rhapsody and Windrose, that tour. So we've been here, I think we've done it one more time, but I don't remember. We did a tour at Blind Guardian, but I don't remember if we played Portland or not. I mean, we've been, that's what I'm saying, we've like, been the supporting band for
Oh yeah, you guys are like a perfect fit
4 or
for all-
5. So
for
it's
all
just
of
like,
those bands.
it's time to like get the first sheet for just
Yeah.
us. You know what I mean?
See how
'Cause-
it goes?
Yeah, because I mean,
See what you can do different?
Yeah, I mean, the game is to like do that, and then you go back home, you release a record, you support for a couple of years again, and then you try it again, and then you only then can you look at the there's that 2 years ago, and then
What
we do.
changed?
Yeah,
How did we do?
so like I know that like in Texas, I mean we did one like a long time ago. We played our own show and it was like 2 or 3 paid. It was embarrassing, and then like now it was like 60. You know what I mean? So like if we can go double like that again, like we're gonna be in the hundreds and then potentially in the 200s, and that's the reality.
And then
For
you can sell a show out.
yeah. I mean it takes time. Like essentially we haven't had. Either due to us not writing it yet or just not having the correct push, we just haven't had a hardcore viral hit yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is the quickest way to get a bunch of people to pay attention to your music, because they'll hear the one song, love it, and then go check out everything. So we're a lot more of a like organic grow, you know what I mean? So it's just and when you're in that position, this is how you make fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is you have to go out and win them over 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 at a time. And then we've been doing that, and I mean I'm almost 3,000 miles away from my home, and people are showing up, so
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of bands have figured out that if you do a whole album and release it all at once, that's it. It's out.
Yeah, it's
nothing
cooked.
happens. But if you do a single
Yeah.
with a video,
Yeah.
every month or every 2 months,
yeah. That was
that's where maybe half your album's already been released.
Oh,
You're-
yeah.
You're in the press constantly, right?
Yeah. No, that's the news cycle is crazy. You know what I mean? So like
So much
that's
dropping from
that's
everybody.
and that's the
Yeah.
whole reason why we enjoy doing EPs and then albums.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially like we'll have like a whole new swath of like original songs that come out on the album, but some of these songs will make it to the album cut and get remastered into it. But like essentially the EP we use the EP nowadays as kind of how hip hop uses singles, except I think you have to be a much more like mainstream big band to pull off the like single thing
Yeah.
without producing an actual CD for it, like that's an EP. So like with the EP's body of work, like we release them all as singles, but they're pressed together, you know what I mean, as
Right.
an EP versus just like put on Spotify and here's the video, you know what I mean? There's a product for it.
Sure.
But like, we did 3 singles before it actually hit the street, and then we'll have a video for Serpent and the Lotus, and then we'll have a video for Kiri that we'll use for promotion essentially for the Unleash the Archer tour that we're doing in February. But like I said, it's just like, that gives you 5 months of constant pressure. And then like, it by design it'll, maybe die off a little bit just as we write the next record. But, if we didn't do the EP, like, you'd be dead. You know what I mean?
There's nothing happening.
It's an easy way to like get something out real quick. It's nowhere near as involved as making 10 new songs and then like producing the double vinyl and then
You're staying in the news feed. You're staying in the loop for your fans.
That's
right?
definitely the future. Is like even if it's not a full album every year, probably every 2 or 3 years we could do a full album, but there'll be an EP in between that we can pull off faster, you know what I mean? And it allows us to stay fresh, you know what I mean, and constantly put out music. So that's kind of been the model that we've enjoyed. So, and it's worked. So, I mean, I kind of think that we're going to end up staying that way. This is our 3rd EP, so it's worked.
And you have 4 albums?
We have, let me see. We
Full
have Brothers of the Night, self-titled, Fire Is Mine, Decennium, Zenith. We have 5 full-length albums,
Awesome.
3 EPs, and a single that we did during COVID. And then the unnamed album that we have still yet to name that will come out at the end of the year next year, I think. That'll be our 6th record. So
Awesome. You guys are working on that all the time, probably.
yeah, I mean, well, when we made the EP, we had probably 10 songs
Yeah.
that were like in the pot, and then we finished essentially 4 of them for the EP. So we have, we'll go back home, check out the other 6 or 7 that we have, and then write 2 or 3 more for full body of work, and then start the process all over again.
Awesome. What's your feelings on streaming? I've talked to bands that some bands have the attitude of the only songs they'll stream are the ones they make videos for, and the other ones will be for sale.
Yeah.
As a motivation to pick up the vinyl or to pick up the CD, or at least buy the downloads.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
what's your thoughts?
At this point, I mean, when we first started releasing music in 2017 or 2007, we were already getting pirated. You know what I mean? As soon as the album's out, it's on the internet. So, having grown up in that time in the industry, I would rather have something like Spotify, even though they don't pay anything hardly. I would rather have our music available to everyone.
Right.
And then hopefully that makes them come to the show, because the bands are essentially making money and surviving by touring. You know, there's sure, like if you're huge, you know, you can make money on the royalty and the record side, but the bread and butter is going to be getting people to buy the ticket, get the merch, come out to the show and have a good time. You know what I mean? And that's where the work is. You know what I mean? So
if somebody wants your song bad enough, they're gonna find a way to get it.
And then Spotify has become a good gauge for reach. Just the your monthly listener count is just simply, for instance, Windrose. Like, they're one of the biggest power metal bands in the world right now. They're not like the old legends, you know what I mean? But
right.
like, you know, they're 1 million listeners a month, you know what I mean? So like that's a huge
awesome.
That's a huge metric to gauge where it is, you know what I mean? And like the way that Spotify has it, regardless of if they pay or not, if you look at the metrics for Spotify, a lot of people use Spotify's metrics probably more than any other one. Just like, oh, look at their listeners, you know what I mean? They have 1 million people listening to them every month, you know, and like you can see like how many people are streaming them right now, you know what I mean? It's thousands of people are listening to them right now, you know, on there, you know, and it's crazy to see, you know. So like I use that as a metric, you know. Luckily, when we signed with RPM, our monthly listener count almost doubled, like overnight, just because like we had the reach with them. So like that made us really happy, you know what I mean? It's you can measure it right there, like simply by looking at it. So it gives you like, is this working? Yes. You know what I mean? Are we like rock stars and famous yet? No. But like, I can see the data. You know what I mean? It's growing. And can we keep that? Can we double and double and double and double? You know what I mean?
Keep your momentum.
Yeah, it's a long game. I mean, and especially I guess we've had a series of very small, awesome breaks, but we haven't had that like big, huge break yet. You know what I mean? But I'm sure it'll come at some point. And if not, I'm fine with stacking a bunch of small breaks. You know, so that's just something that I mean, we're in this to win it, and it's what we do. It's our passion. So like,
you get on a big tour eventually. Play a big festival.
No, I mean, we're working on Europe right now. Like we've done a bunch of really big supports here in the U.S. That have actually, I mean, since COVID, pretty much. So like the last 3 or 4 years, like we've grown exponentially, like from where we were like during COVID to where we are now. This is I don't work a day job anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, for instance, that, you know what I mean? Kevin doesn't really work a day job. You know, Sabrina like works 2 days a week because she chooses to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but she wouldn't need to. But
it's
like
kind of huge.
Yeah, it was a big deal this year. Like we kind of went like light full-time music. You know what I mean? So like I would have never even thought it would have came that fast. So I'm more looking at what happens in 2027 and 2028. That's when I'm going to look back and be like, let me measure from there to there. And okay, you know what I mean? That's sweet. You know, as long as you see this, I guess they can't see my arm when I do that, but as long as you can see you
start down here.
As long as there's an increase and that slope is just always going up.
Yeah.
You know, then you just might as well keep doing it. You know.
That makes sense. One last question: what is the kind of craziest or weirdest thing that's happened to you guys on tour?
On tour, I mean, aside from the crazy drives, I mean, drives are crazy. So, right. But I mean, I feel like that's a very generic answer to that question. I almost saw Hansi get hit by a car from Blind Guardian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was just like, oh my God. And then he didn't get hit by the car, but like car slammed on his brakes right there. And he was just like, hello, like, and it was just like, that was pretty crazy. As far as like
Those things happen
tour
way too often.
experiences,
Yeah.
we got to open we were the sole support for Powerwolf's first US tour last year.
Wow.
Here. So those shows were probably the best shows we've ever played, because I mean it was like 1,500 to 2,000 people a night, and it was just us and them.
And the energy you get from that crowd.
Yeah, but I mean it's just like, it's almost like we got like, we like doubled our following just that one tour. Like, it was
Quite a
kind of
bump,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, it was a huge bump just because they're so big. And I mean, we've done some really great tours, but like, we did 7 shows with them, was like doing all of North America with like the other biggest band we've done. So like, and then those were really crazy experiences, and especially to have like 45-minute set, only other band. Like, we were setting like merch records every night. It was really like a spectacular feeling to just play in front of that many people and then eat you up, you know what I mean? And a lot of them, you know, are showing up on this tour now, you know what I mean? Especially like the West Coast. You know, we'll go back to New York and see how that is and stuff, but like, that was a really crazy experience.
So where does the tour go from here? I know you're going up to Seattle, Canada. And
Yeah,
then-
Seattle tomorrow, and then we go do, we have 5 West Canadian dates, ends in Winnipeg. So it's Kelowna, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, and then Winnipeg. And then we jet back
So it's
down.
only going to get colder.
Yeah, but then we get, that's like, honestly, like, I don't mind the cold as long as like there's no snow, and
Yeah.
like it's just like, it's sunny cold, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that the cyclone that just hit like sucked all the rain and dried up the whole like Pacific Northwest. So
Yeah,
like,
we didn't see anything up here other than
Yeah.
a little bit of wind and rain.
yeah. So I'm hoping that like everything's cool, like especially up there, because it's gonna be like 17 degrees or something like that. But like, yeah, we go back down to Chicago. We haven't done a show in Chicago by ourselves yet, so like that's all tests. I have no idea what to expect, but that's why we're doing
Sure,
it.
it'll
You know
be
what I
fun.
mean? And then Detroit, day off, and then Brooklyn, all the way back down to Florida, and then that's probably
Big
gonna
circle?
Yeah, big circle. And that's going to be our last North American shows, probably till 2026, because we're focusing on Europe next year, pretty much the whole year. And we're going to return with a new record and a pretty substantial supporting tour. So we're hoping to be essentially direct support for, we have a couple names that we've been applied for. So hoping that when those tours get built and solidified, that we get picked.
Yeah.
So this, you know, we've been in the submission process already for a couple big names, and it would be awesome to any of them to come through, really, and especially to be in that kind of like direct support slot. So that's our goal, and we'll basically take it from there and just keep grinding.
Awesome. Is there anything that we missed that you want to talk about, or any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
No, just
or-
thank you to everyone who's listened to The Square, and thank you very much for taking your time and interviewing us.
You're
And,
welcome. I reviewed your EP.
What'd you think?
I thought it was an 8.1,
Awesome.
which is pretty high.
cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's tough
Because
to
like the few 10s that exist for me are like Rainbow Rising. And
Yeah.
certain albums, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
it's
we're
so
not,
hard
like-
to have a 10.
I guess,
you know.
it-
So an 8.1,
Yeah.
super high praise.
Thank you. But I mean, I know it's like we're not doing anything like revolutionary. It's just, you know, we like power metal, but like we also like making music that we enjoy listening to.
You're doing it well.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's just like if you have that passion, you know what I mean, it's going to translate in the music. And we're just happy people enjoy it, you know, and we're constantly trying to better ourselves and better the product, you know, while keeping our own identity, I guess.
Yeah, well, I played your EP and then played it again, and then wanted to play it again.
Awesome,
So you
great.
know what I mean? So that's kind of how it worked for me.
Yeah, no,
So-
for sure. We take a lot
But I
of
was like going, Mister?
Yeah.
What's going on with that? But I understand
Yeah.
the crowdfunding
Yeah, the
thing.
crowdfunding
Somebody-
thing. Actually, all
was
the
there a list of songs?
Yeah, that was the one that we ended up with. There's a couple on there like no way, you know what I mean? But like the
What's a no way?
I don't even remember the names of the song because I was like no way, and I just like
You'd already
yeah,
just
we were just like even
not
Kevin
even
was like
think
nah,
about it.
no way, just like what was it? Loving Every Minute of It almost made it from Loverboy.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll
I
have
think
a
you picked
completely
the right
different.
one.
Yeah.
In
No,
that-
it's
in
just
that
like
case.
it was an obvious choice. Like when
Yeah.
we were listening to it, you know, it's like we just like that one song.
You guys
you
made
know.
it work.
Yeah. Well, it's like Jim, our producer guy. He's an old like prog rock fan. So like we were like, oh my god, you know, none of us have keyboards. Like, how do we make all the sounds? And he made them for us because he's like into it. So
Yeah.
like, and he found the modern clones of essentially all the stuff that they used on the record and made like our versions of it.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, he did it. But Jim's a genius behind the computer, so like he's really good at it, and we're lucky to have him for stuff like that. So
yeah, I work with software keyboards, and I've been through trying to find the sound close to what somebody had.
Oh yeah, he made it,
and it can take a day.
Yeah, it's really nice
to find one sound.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
No, it was really nice to have him there because he's so good at it, and we could just focus doing what we do. You know what I mean? Just like, here's the guitars and bass. Kevin and I are recording bass, essentially.
So you guys do record bass on the record?
Oh, yeah. Kevin and I are the ones that essentially we sit with a bass and we just hand it off to one another and play bass, you know? So it's
awesome.
just, yeah. We can
because I heard a bass on the record.
Oh, yeah, no, there's
So
bass. And it's done properly too. So it's just like, you know, bass to us is not supposed to be a lead guitar. It's an extension of the drum set. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's
rhythm
essentially
section.
it's the rhythm. Yeah, exactly. It's a rhythm section. It's the sub. You know, it's the chord and the sub frequency. You know what I mean? So like it's there to support.
Approach to like a bass player would approach it.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's luckily, as lead guitar players, I think that when we go do bass, we think about it we think about it for the song rather than like, I want to be seen as a bassist. Right. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like, it seems that's what has kind of happened in the past. Is
that makes sense because you're kind of like a ghost bass player anyway. Right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's not, you know, there's nothing glamorous about our bass.
Right.
And sometimes
it does
you know,
the job.
It does the job, and it's supposed to glue the music together. Mm-hmm. And you know, sometimes it's tough to find somebody that is okay just being the glue, you know, and not in the front like doing the crazy stuff. So that's why we just don't have it. That's why Powerwolf is the same way. You know what I mean? It's not really a feature. It's the glue that ties us together and ties the notes and stuff together. You know,
any plans of ever having a bass player?
I doubt it. You know, the band is very like family related to this point. So like,
you got brothers.
Yeah, Keith and Kevin are brothers. Sabrina and I are married, and we've been been together for like since 2007.
That is a family.
Yeah. So that's also another kind of crazy aspect with the band is it's like kind of a family band, you know.
Yeah.
I would rather. I don't think any of us are really trying to hire that because it's just you got to bring another life around, you know.
Yeah.
And like we would rather have. We would rather focus it on like someone that'll help make our lives easier. You know, a driver.
Sure.
A dedicated driver would be the first body that we put back on the crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the next thing is so we don't have to drive anymore. This will probably be the last tour that we drive, hopefully, with our fingers crossed. So, but yeah, no, I don't think we'll ever have a bassist. I mean, I'm so satisfied without having one, and the vibe is, you know, super tight with the family. So
super cool. It's working for you. So
and honestly, it's funny. Like we were, you know, we didn't know what to think, but then you know, we had a long conversation with Powerwolf about it. And it's like they're one of the biggest bands in the world right now, so.
And they don't tour with a bass player?
They have no bassist, it's just on tracks. I mean, they recorded it in the studio, but like.
The Doors did it.
Yeah.
They never had a bass player except in the studio.
I'm fine with it.
You're not the first or the last.
I'm totally fine with it. We take a picture of the laptop every now and then and put a face on it, just for, you know, giggles. But
awesome.
Yeah, it's, you know, we get it done and it supports the music. Sweet, you know what I mean? And you know, sometimes actually it's like even like if the vocals do something, you know, Jim will be like, oh, this would be cool to do it on a bass. Like, okay, you know what I mean? It's just like it's about the song rather than the bassist itself. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And the playing of it, it's more for the.
It should always be about the song.
Yeah.
No matter who you write, no matter your role.
Yeah, it's like the bread on a sandwich. Like it's like that can make or break a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of how we feel about bass. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Cam.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Great talking to you. If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.